Welcome. I'm Jane King at the Nasdaq MarketSite in Times Square, and with me is Alon Goren, the founding partner of Draper Goren Holm. So welcome, and great to see you again. And me, Ben David, the CEO and founder of Ownera, which is one of the portfolio companies. So we'll kind of explain how all this fits together. So let's start, Alon, with so Tim Draper, well-known investor, people who've been around venture capital are familiar with him, has invested in your venture studio and rebranding company, Draper Goren Holm, and this is really to accelerate and kind of incubate early blockchain startups, right? Yeah. So tell me what you're doing. What's your mission?
Yeah, so what we do is, I've been here in the past and we've talked about CIS, our big conference, and when we do that, we get to meet some of the best entrepreneurs around the world that are building blockchain startups. And we started working with a bunch of them and investing them and incubating, accelerating their companies. And so over time that grew. And recently Tim invested, we're a part of the Draper Venture Network.
Okay.
So what we did was we joined them because they're a great network of over 30 funds around the world. And when one of our portfolio companies grew and needed to raise money, we had that network to introduce them to a bunch of investors.
Okay.
And with this investment, that partnership just grew. And so that's why we rebranded to Draper Goren Holm.
Okay. And as I mentioned, you're accelerating, incubating startups, and your company is one of the portfolio companies, Ownera.
Yes.
So, tell me about what is Ownera?
So Ownera is about taking ownership and turning it digital. So companies that are traded today on the stock exchanges are already electronic, but the vast majority of assets in the world are still traded with pieces of paper that people sign. So we want to digitize the ownership, and we're creating something that's called digital securities.
Okay. And explain, what kind of companies are we talking about, just so we can imagine how it would work.
Digital securities are relevant for pretty much any company that's not in the public, that's not already traded publicly. So you can think about mezzanine companies, equity, debt, real estate, energy projects, all sorts of debt instruments.
Yeah. It's huge.
It is hundreds of trillions of dollars worth globally.
Goodness. Okay. Yeah. All right. So what unique perks then does Draper Goren Holm offer their companies?
So what we do is we're really, really hands-on, much different than the average sort of VC who writes a check and sits back and watches and observes. What we do is from the very beginning, we try to meet companies at the earliest stage and then add value as much as we possibly can.
How do you see the blockchain space right now? Because, it's got so much potential, but it feels like it kind of slowed down last year. What do you think? Where do you see this going?
I think this is becoming serious now. I was there through the beginning. So I actually launched 2 years ago the first digital security that is regulation compliant, and I've seen the world kind of change. What we're seeing now and what Ownera is doing is we're bringing blockchain to the institutional world. We work with banks, we work with exchanges, we work with the big asset managers, we work with $100 million and above assets. It's becoming really, really serious as a technology rather than something that people kind of hacked with and try to play with the law. And now everything is under regulation, and it has become grown up.
Starting to mature.
It is
right.
Mature.
That's the word that was coming to my mind.
If you look, for example, at other industries that move from analog to digital, look at music, for example. In the beginning, when people started to send music illegally, everybody got really upset. Napster was there, but the law closed it after 2 years.
Yeah.
And now you have, Spotify, iTunes, and everything is becoming digital. So we believe that also the entire market of security is going digital as well in the same way.
Now, why did you choose Los Angeles instead of Silicon Valley or Manhattan to establish your business?
I'm totally biased. I was born and raised in that area, and I love it. But LA does have a very unique and different ecosystem in general when it comes to technology. There is the entertainment side of things, of course, but there is a very deep and different just sort of ethos of people in Los Angeles, where a lot of the companies are more ingrained in creating revenue and building a product in that way, where sort of Silicon Valley is this, we're going to dump millions of dollars on it and see what happens.
But I know a lot of people kind of want to wait till they're unicorns. Why would you jump in so early?
Well, there's two reasons. One is, like I was saying before, that's where we can add the most value, at least in our expertise. But two is numbers and data.
Okay.
If you look at the hedge fund industry and the VC industry as a whole, and you look at VC performance based on stages, people who start at the seed stage have the highest returns. And the reason is people call it spray and pray. Hopefully we're all a little smarter than that, but if you have a very large portfolio of a lot of early stage companies, you get to then double down as they grow.
Just what trends are you excited about in crypto and also blockchain? I know you're not really a crypto company, you're more blockchain,
We're
but
practically not touching crypto at all.
okay.
It's a digital securities and blockchain. And I'm really excited. I mean, I'm biased, but I'm excited about digital securities because not every day you work in a company that actually targets a market of hundreds of trillions of dollars in potential. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. The institutions that we work with, the banks, they're very cautious and they take their time. There's a lot of work with regulators. We're working with legal companies, so it will take time. But when it happens, it is going to be really massive. When markets move from analog to digital, they move. You know, when Netflix happened, the market behind it is almost forgotten because everything is moving to digital. So I think this kind of tipping point is about 2 years from now. And when that tipping point happens, we're going to see massive change in the market.
Okay. Crypto and blockchain, what are you excited about?
I well, obviously feel very strongly and similarly. I think that there is, you know, I think that in the crypto world, you know, most focus will go to just, you know, Bitcoin and people building around that network. And I think that there's going to be new things, but the blockchain side of it, like we were talking about before, is the looky-loos are sort of gone. The people who are just following the trends are kind of gone, and the real serious hardcore technology is here. And you see it across many avenues. And the second somebody figures out identity and figures out securities and just assets in general, truly digitized, not just DocuSign digitized, it'll change the world. I mean, you'll actually know what you own. You'll be able to see it in your wallet. Imagine a bond market being put onto Ownera and being able to calculate your interest payments daily or every minute. There's pure data that shows if it's calculated quarterly over annually, it trades at a premium, or monthly over quarterly, it trades at a premium to that. Now, how much more exciting would it be if every moment you look at your wallet like you collect interest from an online bank, but it happens every minute?
Well, exciting. So thank you so much for coming in, Alon, and
Thank
me
you.
for sharing that, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you as well for joining us. I'm Jane King at the Nasdaq.